Legislative Committee meeting. It is October 4th, 2023. It's 9 a.m. in the morning, and I am calling this meeting to order. First item on our agenda is public comment. Do we have any?
I did not receive anything.
So no public comment. I'm going to close the public comment. We have one action item this morning. Approve the September 6th, 2023 minutes. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion on this item? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 4A, state legislative update, and we have Ron Pierce live on Zoom. Welcome, Ron.
Live on Zoom. Unfortunately, I could not be there in person today. I apologize. I am in Tampa Bay, but I couldn't be there. So, good morning, Mr. Chairman, committee members. I'll be pretty brief. Brad and I have been meeting with members of your legislative delegation. We've met with, Brad, probably 3 or 4. I know we've met with Senator DeSigley, Senator Rouson, Representative Burfield. I think Representative Cross is today. We had another meeting that was scheduled yesterday that's getting rescheduled. And then any of the members we do not meet, kind of going over our list of agenda, we will meet with them when Brad comes to Tallahassee during one of the upcoming committee weeks. House had their first committee week a couple of weeks ago. It was really more focused on the designation of Danny Perez, who's from Miami, to be the next speaker. Not a whole lot went on. There was a couple of committee meetings, but no business. The Senate's having a Senate-only committee week next week, and then we kind of get back on track the following week when the House and Senate start moving forward with doing joint committee weeks. I will let you know, bills are being filed, so things are kind of getting in full swing. There have not been any bills that have been filed today that would have any direct or indirect impact on PSTA. Obviously, we'll continue to monitor and report back to you as needed. From a budget standpoint, looks like we are going to do an appropriations request for funding for the new veterans program, where veterans can ride free, kind of expand that program a bit. We talked yesterday with Senator Rouson. He'll be the appropriation sponsor in the Senate, working with his office and getting the forms filled out with Brad and his team. And then it looks like Representative Burfield, I need to follow up with her, but I think she'll be the House sponsor. And if you recall, both of them sponsored our appropriation last year as well. So both are obviously supporters of PSTA and want to be helpful. So I will stop there. Brad, anything that you wanted me to add or bring up at this point?
Well, I looked through my email. I don't know. You said the forms are available.
Yeah, I'll make sure. I think you got them this morning. So if you check your email, I think you got them this morning.
Okay. And I'll just update the committee on. We have the board adopted 4 priorities for this year. 1, to monitor the heart study that FDOT's doing, and that is sort of, well, I would just describe it as maybe sort of petering out a little bit. It's going to be completed by the consultant, and what I've been told from people at Heart is, in FDOT, that the legislators that sponsored that really feel like the problem has been averted. Of lots of stories in the Tampa Bay Times, and so we'll just have, as Ron will be monitoring it just to see what ultimately happens. Perhaps maybe some recommendations on changes of governance, I think, is what maybe we think might be the only thing that happens on that. But the sort of, it doesn't seem like really PSTA is going to be that involved. I mean, impacted by the study, from what I know. And I don't know if this is a sign, good or bad, but the study is being done for FDOT by this company called Michael Baker and Associates. And for the first time in my life, I got invited to the Michael Baker and Associates happy hour over at Orlando. I don't know if that's a karma or what, to talk about the heart study. Anyway, number 2 on our list is this thing with the union dues, which is also moving along okay. Other transit systems across the state are getting the state to give permanent waivers of this. I've talked about it in the past. There's this disconnect between the federal law that requires the unions contracts to be upheld with the union dues in them, and then the new state law which prohibits dues to be taken out of paychecks. Other transit systems have now gotten permanent waivers. We have not. This state transit association is working with their lobbyists to try to get a legislative fix just for the future, but we may not even need that. We may be able to get a legislative, a permanent waiver from the state ahead of time, which is good. Number 3 and number 4 are kind of tied. As Ron said, we'll maybe try to do a legislative appropriation to help with our free veterans rides, and that might be hopefully a positive in the face of a negative where the state maybe discontinues its funding for PSDA's TD late shift program, which has been a very successful, innovative program funded by the Commission for Transportation Disadvantage, but they have told us that since we've had that program for a while now, it's not considered innovative anymore. They've told us this before, and we've come up with new ways to describe it as innovative, or we launched new kinds of programs like the service over to Tampa, over to Hillsborough County as part of that. We'll just have to see if that gets funded or not. So those are our 4 things, and we've gotten positive response from the different legislators we've talked to so far on all of those.
Funding is.
Brad, going back to the union issue briefly, and I know we talked about this the last time I was in person. There was some question from some of the committee members. We do believe that there'll be a permanent solution put in place that will not require a legislative fix prior up to us getting up to Tallahassee in January. However, we've had very favorable conversations with delegation members that I think are willing to fix in place if we need to. But again, I think there'll be kind of a permanent fix put in place for all the transit agencies. I know Hart's already got one, Broward County's got one. I think they're gonna go down that list, and I would not be surprised that if we kind of get that permanent exemption between now and the end of the year.
Great, thank you for that update. Brad, you want to talk about anything else? Going to Tallahassee?
Oh, and then, right, so the plan right now is to, Ron, I don't know if you know, I know we're planning on going up for the committee week in November 13th and 14th. And I will take I'll take nominees or anyone interested in going with me to drive up there to Tallahassee for those days. And then I'm looking for our January 29th, the last week in January, I think is when we targeted during the session.
Isn't January 29th the same dates for Florida League of Cities?
Sure.
Would be.
Is it?
I'm not sure. All right.
That week in November is, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Yep.
That week in November is the National League of Cities City Summit.
DC?
So, I will be in Atlanta during that time.
Oh,
I can go to Tallahassee with you, as long as you drive.
Silver's flying regular routes up there again.
they are?
Yes.
On
Oh,
every day? Like
I
on
think-
days that you can
Yeah,
fly it?
yes. I don't know if it's every single day, but it's regular, it's more regular than
Oh.
just Thursday and
That's
whatever the day
better.
before.
Mondays and
I
Thursdays,
think it
was
was
it?
Monday and Thursday, yeah. So, yes, January 29th through the 31st is the FLC Lake Action Days in
So,
Tallahassee.
so we'll be up there.
Okay.
Just
We'll be
not
up there.
You said 13th, 14th though.
No,
November.
just
This
January.
Oh, you're talking about January.
Just
Yes, sir.
And then January,
Yeah, so we'll be up there.
it'll be a
and then-
crowded week.
Brad, I'm available the 13th, in November.
Go
Billy Bob's
team.
Barbecue, way to go. Let's do it.
I'm flying.
Oh.
I'm not stopping in Chiefland anymore.
Yeah, come on.
That's what we did last time.
Phillies. All right. Thank you, Ron. Thank you for your update, and you have a wonderful day. Anything else, any questions for Ron before he leaves his Zoom? I think we're good.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. Have a good week. We'll talk to you all soon.
Thank you,
Bye.
thank you for all you do for us. We really appreciate you very much, Ron.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We'll talk to you all soon.
All right. Next item on our agenda is 4B, the federal legislative update. Is Harry on the line, Rachel?
Yes, except he has a different name.
Oh, that's
Harry?
He forgot to change his name.
Come on, Harry, where are you?
It's my link. Oop. Is there?
There he is.
Yeah,
Harry?
there you are.
There we go.
Sorry.
Welcome.
Can you, I don't know, I seem to have a problem with the Zoom. I don't know what it is. So anyway, hey, can you hear me okay and see me okay? I can't see you all, so.
You look great, and we can hear you. fine.
Okay. Well, there's nothing going on in Washington today, so we can probably skip the federal report, right? Interesting time in Washington. I mean, I can answer any questions, but I'm not sure I have any of the answers, so, just needless to say, I guess with what happened yesterday, at least on the House side, things were pretty much on hold. They were scheduled to, this is supposed to be the 2-week House recess. They were supposed to be back home in their districts this week and next week. And they obviously postponed it last week to keep working on the regular appropriations bills. Congress was actually going to do 2 bills this week and then 2 more next week. One of the 2 next week being the transportation appropriations bill, but all of those are on hold until they can elect the speaker. House recessed last night after they fired the speaker, and they're going to come back next Tuesday and start the process of trying to decide who the next speaker will be. That could take a day, that could take a week, it could take a month. We just don't know at this point. So everything will be, and there's even a question in Washington now whether the House can actually function, including holding committee hearings until there's a speaker appointed. There's a difference of opinion right now on that. The Senate can still function. The White House obviously can still function. Over the weekend, the Congress passed a continuing funding resolution to keep the federal government open and running through November 17th. So that's a good thing. And continue to spend funds at last year's level, which and I don't think, Brett, and we talked to Debbie, I don't think that presents any problem for transit agencies at this time, so it shouldn't be a problem. One of the things that we're working on with Brad and Abhishek is you all are preparing, PSTA is preparing to submit a SMART grant. It's a new program, federal program that was created in the bipartisan infrastructure bill. SMART stands for Strengthening Mobility and Revolutionizing Transportation Program. So it's idea of making transit agencies more technologically advanced, trying to find ways to use technology to better and more efficiently deliver transportation services. So it's not just transit, it's all transportation services. So it's a highly competitive program. Last year there were, what did I see here, Brad? 392 applications for the program in the first year of the program. Of the 392, 59 were funded. About $94 million was provided for the program. So it will be highly competitive. What the purpose of this program is, and Brad can probably better describe it to me, but the purpose of the program is to set up a demonstration project to help enroll your PSTA riders that are senior citizens and eligible for the reduced fare, to help them enroll online so they don't have to come in person to your service centers to enroll. Make it, the idea being, make it more easier for them to enroll, do a test case to set up that process, and then I guess, Brad, eventually go for a stage 2 project where you would make it available, this technology available to all senior citizens, so they could all enroll online and be able to get the discount fare, and then someday down the road be able to extend that service to then open enrollment service to students, veterans, and other riders who can get reduced or free bus rides. So we're going to work over the next couple of days to generate some letters of support from Congresswoman Castor, Congresswoman Luna, and the two senators to the Department of Transportation to see if we can't try and show bipartisan support for your grant opportunity. Those are the things we're working on right now, Brad. I think we'll have more to report hopefully in November once Congress gets back to, the House particularly gets back to doing their work. Just as a reminder, we are, as I said, in a continuing resolution phase where the government's operating kind of an automatic pilot. The goal, I think, is to try and finish these appropriations bills by the end of the year. There was a pretty substantial difference between what the Senate recommends for transit programs and some of the competitive grant programs that you all have been successfully applying for, and where the House numbers are. There's a big difference between the two. That will have to be reconciled before the end of the year. I don't know where that goes at this point. I think a large part will depend on who the new speaker will be and what his priorities are. So I guess stay tuned. But Mr. Chairman and Brad, I'm happy to answer any questions or talk about anything else Brad that may have missed here. Congratulations, by the way. I know you pick up your award next week, so I know I mentioned it last week. Congratulations again on the award you're going to receive next week at APTA. It's a great honor.
Thank you. Yeah. And thank you, Harry, for helping us with this grant. So, and maybe, Abhishek, if you want to say anything. So as you know, we give a whole bunch of different kinds of discounts for seniors and people with disabilities and veterans in the future and students. And all those kinds of discounts require a human to see your ID, to see and look at your age, and or look at your studentness or veteran forms. And there is technology out there that the federal government has created that allows you to create a virtual ID. You can do this, I think, for passports right now. And the idea is, in the future, that you wouldn't have to have a human, have to go to one of PSA's transit centers, Clearwater, St. Pete, Pinellas Park, for a human to look at your ID, that you could register your age in some kind of official way in the Flamingo app. And then the Flamingo app would automatically get you the discount. And the benefit of that is that you could do it right at the bus stop. California has tested or piloted it or done it.
They've done it for all social services, not just public transportation.
Wow.
So we actually learned quite a bit from them to see how they did that, how long it took them. They're actually helping us with the application process also, because they'd like to see that expand to other states. So we are trying to start small just to see how it would work here, and then maybe have other Florida agencies partner with us if this program grows roots. But this is a great way to get seniors to be able to register online without having to go to a customer service center, which a lot of seniors actually have to use public transportation to get to one, and then have to pay full fare to get to the customer service center. So this is a great way to just get them, signed up online. And not just Flamingo cards, we're also looking at credit cards. They can register their open payment credit cards with a Wi-Fi symbol on it. They can use that as well to use for the It's going to be a pilot, and then we can expand it to all seniors and veterans, low-income riders, students, etc.
Thank you.
Yeah, it seems as the program, as Harry, I don't know if you were reading that, you just had that memorized, what SMART stood for, but it's a very smart idea.
Look at that grid.
Yeah, so we'll try this.
And Brad, to your credit, you and your team have been great about applying for innovation grants throughout the U.S. Department of Transportation, both DOT and FTA. And I think, Brad, when you were up in the spring, we had a good meeting with the leadership over at the FTA's Research and Development Office, and they were, I think, talking about some of the great things you've done, first mile, last mile service, and night riders and other things that you have a great reputation. PSA has a great reputation for being innovative, so I think that'll help with your competitive position here.
Great. Any questions? questions for Harry? Yes, go ahead, Gina.
Hi, good morning, Harry. With the SMART grant, is that, and you said we could look for support from Castor and Luna. Do we need to ask on the Senate side too, or do you think that just having the two is enough? I know it's a stretch, but just wondering.
Yeah, no, we're gonna ask Senator Rubio and Senator Scott to send. They're good about sending letters of support, so we'll ask them to send them over. And the grant, I think, Brad, applications due July or October 10th. So, but we're gonna have them send letters directly to Secretary Buttigieg in support of the grant. That's the way we always recommend that they send letters directly into the secretary, and that's the way I think, Brad, your grants team recommended it too. So we will work on that.
All right, and so it's due on the 10th, or have we already submitted?
It's due on the 10th.
Okay. Would it help? I'm thinking, as far as getting the word out, and we're having seniors as like the pilot to start. Some of them don't have a tablet. They might have a smartphone, but they may not have a tablet or a laptop at home. There's a great organization called Digital Inclusion St. Petersburg that I actually worked to get funding for from the city, and they got started. And the director of it is Beatrice Farrell, who some of you might know.
Oh, yeah.
She's the former director of the Deuces Live district. So Digital Inclusion St. Petersburg really tries to help connect people with the devices and the knowledge to be able to use the internet. So, and there are three parts to that. Of course, there's the access. So they work with people on the different broadband discount programs that are out there that help to help you to be able to afford the internet. The second part is the equipment. And they take used equipment. They've got an IT guy that can refurb all kinds of devices that are donated. They do Gadgets for Good days where they collect people's old iPads and things like that, get them ready, and then get them to the people who need them. The third part of it is education. So you can help grandma get a discount on internet, and you can give her an iPad, but what good does it do if she doesn't know how to use it or know how to set up her email on it? They have like a help desk, which is the community tech hub in St. Petersburg that can help people with anything that they need as far as how to use the device. So the goal is to be able to say every person in St. Petersburg is connected to the internet. And they're doing really great work. It's been amazing so far. And just, it started like right around when the pandemic hit. And now it's really grown quite nicely. So they might be someone that we could partner with as part of this pilot.
Yeah.
Because they know who they're finding the people who need help with connectivity. Those are probably also the people who could benefit from a reduced fare. So just want to throw that out there, and that could really bring in more of the community and make it a great collaborative effort.
Plus maybe Ventures to write us a letter. Support,
Oh yeah, well, and the like digital inclusion and bridging the digital divide on the federal level has become a topic of interest, right, Harry?
It has, definitely. As well as service to underserved communities, and that would be helpful, I think, to have, obviously, I'm sure you're generating letters of support from the Urban League and senior groups and others that I think could help make your application stronger, talking about trying to reach out to underserved communities to get them signed up for this program.
Yeah, and I can help connect you with different groups.
Maybe even, Brad, even AARP and some of those groups that might be able to help some of these seniors enroll might be helpful.
Oh, yeah. And then, let's see, had was, here, I had forwarded you, the info, and Brad probably already sent it to you, like, sort of Brad's schedule for APTA next week. Is there any chance that you'll be around?
Yeah, I'm trying to work through that. So you're receiving the award on the morning of the 10th, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm gonna try and get over there, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
I'll be there Monday afternoon to Tuesday afternoon,
Great.
so, yeah, looking forward to it. And
You're gonna go to the dress rehearsal.
I'm doing the dress rehearsal.
Oh, and the panel.
And I've been invited to speak on a panel discussion, and I'm certain that Brad and I will be getting together so that I sound like I know what I'm talking about.
Yes, right.
It's next week, Tuesday?
Yeah,
Very good.
yeah, so, that's all I had, thank you.
All right, thank you. Any
Chair.
other questions for Harry? No? Brad, anything else for Harry?
No, I mean, it was interesting, I got a bunch of emails about the shutdown, and it appears as if there's a lot of, our programs that wouldn't actually shut down. Harry probably knows more about this than I do, but, you know, because some of the transportation programs are funded by the gas tax and approved in the bipartisan infrastructure bill, it wouldn't shut down. It would keep going. But some programs would shut down. Of course, you know, then they wouldn't, I don't know when we'll ever see another budget approved by the Congress, but that would be the place where we would get any earmarks. Would have to be through a budget vote, which seems a long way off.
Yes.
But, yeah.
Yeah, but we have to do something before November 17th to keep the government open, and then, again, a lot to be determined once they elect a new speaker next week, so we'll have more to report. We'll know, we have another call, I think, in November, Brett, we'll know more early November before the next shutdown deadline approaches.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you all.
Yep, great job. Thank you for all you do for us. We really appreciate you. All right. Next item on our agenda is item 5. Is there any other business from anybody? All right. And this meeting is, our next meeting will be November 1st at 9 a.m. right here. Same location, same bat time. This meeting is adjourned.
Bye, Harry.
Bye, see you next week, or 2 weeks.
Next week.
Sent you an email.
And that's in Orlando?
Yeah.
When I go to print,
So it's easy, you know.
Yeah,
Is it
what
on
do
the-
you- what do you-
Yeah.
before the decisions?
I just took a screenshot of,
He means
I
next
I
week.
couldn't
No,
print it, and what I have to do is,
Oh,
I
okay.
have to do
And is that one in?
a paste and cut